There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We weren't arguing.
They talk about their cars, sing about their cars. Some people even look like their car. Whether it's an old car, new old car, fast car, family car, electric car, race car, two-wheel car, no-wheel car, or a car you know's parked around here somewhere. People who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small, some people tinker some degree between those two variables.
Whose voice is that?
And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name.
It's Kevin.
Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super. Because super is our middle name. Well, technically it's our first.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another round of wonderful Supercheap Auto East Coast V8 series tonight. We've got a black screen at the moment, but we will be coming live from the one and only Interlagos circuit. Apollo and Bristol, quite famous for history for one, also the home circuit of back in the day. Track starts on the start-finish line and famous center S curves where we sweep through the tender and through the right hand. Come back out in the sweeping better posture. Straight takes us down towards the Interlagos, closest point on the actual lakes that the circuit is named after, and we cars up quite hard on four, and then and 5 up the hill into Serradura. After this, we then come to curve at El Hana. That's a very tricky curve to get it right. So we basically then get ourselves into tight, complex Ariano hairpin and up in Bianco de Pato down and going on with my sound. I'll have to double check that. Then start coming down the hill, of course, and once we do that, we come sweeping through Mugello, and then we're up into the Yunco curves, where we then come back up the hill, and then we head ourselves down the fast turn 14 and into 15, where the pit entry is, and then we head off across the finish line. It is a fast circuit. You're looking at about a 1.5 minute lap time. Very technical, very open, Mark. I think these boys will have some fun racing around here.
Yeah, again, one of them GP tracks that all these drivers should have had plenty of experience at. It always produces some tight, intense racing, good passing opportunities throughout the track, and yeah, I think the boys, it's a small field, but I think there's plenty of quality in the field, and we should see some pretty good racing, I think.
I think we will. These boys will be using this as a bit of a warm-up for Scops as well, so that will be very key to how these guys tackle this tonight. They were definitely trying to get themselves set up ready to go. Let's have a quick look at points table as we've got standing at the moment. At the overall positions, James Scott's got a fairly handy lead there with 20 points from Jordan Ross on 6:34. 10 points ahead of Stone Street. Stone Street not with us this evening. That will be a blow. That area of the championship. Stephen Tonkin doing really well in 4th. Dave Coleman sitting. Jacob O'Reilly from. Of course, he is sitting 6th. Damien Johnstone in 7th. Jack Rattray White 8th, Mahoney in 9th, and Michael Angus from Motorsports in 10th. If we roll that over now and break that down to just our pro drivers. Right, spreadsheet that sees James Scott leading it, of course, from Jordan Ross. Jacob O'Reilly moves to third. Johnston, Rattray White, Angus Wallace, Glassbomb, Visma, and Tom Freer rounding out points there. In the Super 2 series, Stone Street has a 10-point lead or 9-point lead over Steve Tonkin from JWM, who has a 10-point lead over his teammate Martin Lofthouse. Dave Coleman knocking on the door just 3 points further outside the podium positions. Then we've got Joe Marnie, Craig Schultz, Jeff Thomas, Lewis Greathead, Barella, Hoffman, Berg, Borg, and Caparonis. And of course, no drop rounds taken into consideration these points. And when we go over the screen to the vets, Stone Street has a commanding lead there, fairly easy. Still got 15 minutes left of practice here. We did have some server issues going on, so they may advance that. I'm not sure. Hopefully, race control will get back to us and let us know what is going on there. Tough track, Mark.
Yeah, it is a tricky track. Couple of real technical areas, and you really got to balance the braking and throttle application. But there's also some good fast sweeping stuff. So, like I said, the boys have all raced here many times before. It does produce some pretty hard racing, and there can be a few incidents here, especially in that turn 1, 2, 3 complex. So yeah, I expect these boys to go at it pretty hard, but I think with all their experience around here, I don't think it should pose an issue for any of them.
Like I said, I think a lot of these guys will use this as an opportunity to work with their setups, try and get them right, knowing that we've got Scops this weekend coming. And of course, a few of these boys in this group are running at the front pointy end of Scops as well. And then we have quite a few guys in the middle, the rear of the pack, hoping to get themselves on into split 1 and split 2 of Scops. So good practice for everybody. And of course, Pro Series will be here next month at Interlagos for the first of their Enduros, where we have a 500k race. So that will be another reason why these guys will be happy to get time under their belts at this place. Thanks.
Yeah, I would have thought I thought we might have got a few more people tonight with Scops and Pro Series coming up, but I guess everybody's got their own personal lives as well to get on with, and sometimes people just need a break from doing too many laps and too much racing, and got to please their wife and family. So it is what it is. I still think, these boys, like I said, there's plenty of quality in the field, and I think a lot of these boys will be looking to tune up for Scops and Pro Series. So they'll be at an advantage once it comes to them bigger races next time round.
Absolutely. Of course, a few of these boys in this field too will also be what we call co-drivers in the Enduro Series for the Pro Series. So those boys definitely trying to get some laps under their belts as well at this place. And mentioned there's probably 1 or 2 guys probably hoping to get a co-drive as well. So it's an opportunity to shine, as all driver splits have not all been finalised yet. I didn't see sometimes Anthony Visma, Jordan Ross, Wallace, Taliancic, Broad, Mascord, Dylan Rudd, Connor Nixon back with us tonight. He's already down in 8th. Dave Coleman sitting in 9th. So a few boys already getting a few times on the board. Scott goes quicker there. That's what I'd expect. As we jump the cockpit of Michael Talianci, have a bit of a look around the circuit. my calculations, their fuel burn should be around about 3.1, 3.2 litres a lap. And of course, 41 lap race. They start with a full tank. Should be able to get themselves about 13 laps down the track, I think. That's not right. They should be able to get themselves a fair way down. They need about 127 litres for the total race. So they should be able to get themselves a fair way down the track if they fill it all up. But of course, 2 compulsory pit stops this evening. Should see the guys probably putting about 50 litres in, get themselves started. So it'd be interesting to see what some of these boys do for their setups and how some of these boys tackle this one at shorter distance. Fuel strategy and tyre strategy become more of a very balanced approach to the race. Of course, race distance tonight, 175 kilometres, so shorter distance for these guys as well, which was something that they asked for at the end of last season, Tuesday night. Get it finished a little bit earlier. As Tally comes over the line, improves himself up in Michael Talianchi's only been with Synergy for less than a week, or less than a month now, so obviously starting to find his feet, settle in. See how Tally goes as we move into the back half of the season. And to keep an eye on tonight, Jordan Ross. Sorry, mate.
I was just about to say, I think Michael Talianchis is probably well, we know he's a great steer. He's been around a long time, plenty of experience, but I think he'll be an invaluable asset to the Synergy boys come Enduro time. So I think they would have signed him up looking to bolster their stocks for Enduro season. So looking forward to, seeing how Michael settles in. We know he's a former champion of V8 vets, and he has been around a long time, and he's still got plenty of life left in them legs to pedal these cars around.
Doing relatively well. Boss for Synergy, Jordan Ross, he's out there trying to set a time as well. James Scott still sitting in P1. Practice session at 1:31.833. Ross does this time by. Pace moves him up in third. A couple of other guys out there. Brady Baldwin is about to go out. Thomas Freeman.
Sorry, John, I was about to say good to have Connor Nixon back as well. I haven't seen Connor around for a little while, and always a hard racer and doesn't give up an opportunity and doesn't give away opportunities too easy. So great to have Connor back in the session with us tonight.
Connor sitting in 11th at the moment, racing with Drop Bear Motorsports outfit.
Yeah, I just jumped on his car to see who he was racing with, and one of the noticeable absences tonight is the Vermeulen Motorsport crew. I don't think we've got any of their drivers in tonight.
No, we haven't, and Jacob O'Reilly was going to come and join us, but showing up either, so not sure what's going on over there. We've still got plenty of good races on track. Be a contest and a half as we pick up the next man beside Connor Nixon, David Coleman. He has been improving every week in leaps and bounds. See what Coleman can do tonight. Of course, the other one too, just reminded there, as we went through Cinder, Interlagos is the track limits have been tightened up a fair bit around this place too, so the boys will have to be a little bit careful on how much they use off track. That will be the challenge of the circuit.
Surprised to see Dylan Rudd struggling a little bit. We usually see Dylan have pretty good especially qualifying pace. He has been racing well, and he is, I think, I'm not sure if he's still the current leader of the Pro Series, but he has been driving extremely well, but just seems to be struggling for a bit of pace at the moment tonight. Almost a full second off his teammate, James Scott, which is really unusual.
Interesting to see what he gets done. Head to quali, keep practicing.
Yeah, he could be doing long fuel runs, not quali runs, so yeah, well, I guess more will be revealed once qualifying ticks over.
5 minutes away. Speeds coming down through start finish complex, a very fast part of the circuit. Accelerating up 250 k's, 60 k's. Pull it up very hard. And 100 k's, even less. Very tough circuit on tyres, as you can see by the high speed corners cars have got to deal with.
Yeah, a lot of lateral load in these high speed corners, and that's one thing these cars do not enjoy, is that sideways body roll.
Dylan here, slightly quicker lap by the looks. Rolls through tighter part of the circuit. Now the car has to pull up, getting it down to 80 k's. To the slowest corner now, 90 k's. Got a bit of hurry up about him in this one. 85. Down the hill again. He can do, he definitely got the gas down. Way up through the gears into 5th. Might be a bit quicker, Mark. Crosses the line, moves himself up to 6th spot.
Yeah, definitely gained a fair bit there, so good to see. He's gained about 0.3 of a second on that lap, so he's still a fair way off James Scott at the moment. James is doing what James usually does, and yeah, sets a lightning time and puts the pressure on all the other boys in the field to produce.
Hobson down in 7th. During practice times, we don't know who's doing race runs and who's quali practice as well. All will be revealed in 2.5 minutes.
Now, I thought Brenton was looking pretty good last week. Ended up having a bit of bad luck at Road America. I thought he played his strategy pretty well, and then yeah, just got caught up, which has been his problem all season. I think he's missed a few races and then just had bad luck getting caught up in incidents that, you know, really got nothing to do with him, and kind of really just has put a dampener on his race performances. But we know how good he is in the car, and he's certainly one of the good best strategists in the field. I think he thinks on his feet very, very well and very quickly, similar to Jamie McKnight. Jamie's another one who always seems to know how to put together a strategy that can leapfrog him up the field. So that's one of the key things about this racing, is you really need to be able to nail your strategy because sometimes it's very difficult to pass on the track, and like in real life racing, some of the biggest gains are in the pit lane.
Absolutely. This man on screen, back with us here at East Coast, part of his practice campaign for Vets 2025. So another one coming to us in January, Mark. It'll be interesting to see how Matty goes. Bets. Forward to watching that.
We all get old, John.
Yeah, we do. On my knee, that it knows. Marnie, of course, our split 3 race control. Bets. Sitting in 11th at the moment. For him to have a good run tonight. Only with Matty Mascord. Definitely about showtime. Keep an eye on Scott. Keep an eye on Tom Frere. Expect him, I think, to be up there in the mix. Dylan Rudd sitting in 6th at the moment. Wouldn't be surprised if he jumps up a bit further as well. Definitely a couple of other names to watch would be Connor Nixon, Craig Schultz, a little bit further back down the grid. Matty Mascord leading our Super 2s at the moment on the times. They'll be looking forward to seeing what he can do as we're about going off pit lane. Yep. At the start. Up. Rolling out.
Evening, everyone, and welcome to round 5 of the Supercheap.
Race control. Drivers. Boys are all starting to pop out on track at the moment. Away. On where the pack is. So most of them now on track. Jumping a little bit there. Brady Baldwin in the background. So it looks like all the Synergy boys have come out together. Scott a little further up the road with a few behind him. Some broad. Like he might be our lead car on track. Tyson had a good drive last week as well, so keep an eye on him. Coleman may have been the first man out, I think. Just double checking. No, Coleman's at the back. Broad. Our first man on track going for it. So he heads into the Centre S complex for the first time in qualifying. 2 minutes already gone out of the 15-minute session. Very stable, using all the circuit, getting the power down.
Oh, he goes a bit deep
Oh,
there.
yeah, close that one. That one's off. We might jump back to Nixon, who I think was behind him. Nixon coming down the straightaway now. Might just find where Scott is. Another one goes wide. Scott may be wide there as well. That'll be tight. A couple of boys falling victim there to Interlagos.
I think James is right. I don't think he got an off track there.
Still going, so he's pushing hard. Big blow to Tyson Broad. Commentator's curse to Scott here, definitely getting the power down. Through to Pato.
Not sure what's happened to Dave Coleman, seeing a meatball flag next to his name.
Or either actually, he went off track. 10 seconds, we might jump on that in a second, have a quick look once we cross the line here. Schultz, first man across.
Like he's gone off at the end of the back straight there, and he's ripped the front end of the car off, so I think he's going to need a tow. That's going to be his qualifying done.
Jump on. He went off. Yeah, he's into the wall. That's the front end. Not a good spot to be parked either. Roll it off the circuit. Driving there from Dave, not to leave it on the race line. Yeah, big blow to Coleman. On in qualifying. Go back to live pictures, and yeah, he's towed back to the pits. So live pictures.
Okay, so we've had some markers put down. James Scott, currently P1, 131.678. Brenton Hobson in P2 with a 132.240. Tom Freer with a 132.288. Jordan Ross a 132.456. And then Joe Mahoney, Matty Mascord, Justin Wallace, Connor Nixon, Thomas Freeman, Brady Baldwin, Craig Schultz. That's your 11 at the moment, and we've got 6 drivers who haven't set a time, who all obviously went off track.
It's big names in that with Dylan Rudd, Visma, and Taliancic as well. Coleman, we know, parked back up in the pits, won't set a time this session. Definitely going to be an interesting completion to this.
Yeah, I think we say it every week. Once you miss that first lap to put your marker down for qualifying, it just adds that little bit more pressure to the next lap, and then if you miss the next lap, then you've only really got one more run left to go. So it's really important to try and at least get that banker in.
As time starts to tick.
We've about 9 minutes to go, so they should get 2 more runs in each.
Plenty of time.
You take that James Scott out of the equation, and then you've only got a few tenths separating like the top 5 or 6 cars. So yeah, James Scott is the outlier here, but everybody else is fairly close.
Ford trying to warm the tyres up. Line. He's not on the circuit at the moment. Rick. Apologies for a few curveballs. It's DK. Rectify those for you. As the lead bunch all come across the line to start their next lap. So keep a close eye on this one. Scott, of course, well clear, but keep an eye on Freya. We'll be pushing Hobson all the way. And another one of the cars off there. Not sure who went wide. That didn't look too healthy from them. That. We are a bit of pace here. Doesn't come across the line. It's freer into the lane. Hobson still on track. Broad. And Broad's Nixon's just gone up, Mark to 5th.
Yeah, that's a great lap from Connor.
Happy with that, I would say. Show qualifying down the bottom. Yeah, we'll keep this one. Anthony Visma, he is next man. We're looking, he's off track, so it's not going to help the cause there. Jordan Ross on an in lap at the moment. Brenton Hobson, P3, is on the way out, and so is James Scott. This will be their last attack at it. Killing. Boys in, jump on board with Scott. Speak at the moment.
But Dylan Rudd's still without a time, John. He's just had to come into the pits again after not setting a time on that lap. Anthony Visma's done a great job. He's currently sitting in P5 on a 1:32.491, so that's a rock solid lap there from Anthony.
Definitely driving well at the moment. We've seen him improve over the last couple of seasons here at East Coast. Forward to seeing him back in amongst the vets next season as well as he's up the race control boots.
Yeah, it will be definitely interesting to see Anthony back in vets on that fixed setup series. Yeah, he was good solid driver before. He's done 3 or 4 seasons in race control, and he's been dipping his toe in a few different series, and he's driving really well. So I think he may come back to the vets field quite strong. So look forward to seeing how he goes once he rejoins us.
I think Joy is driving back in the vets. Look forward to seeing how he goes. So I think whether it's just a qualifying thing or play up for the race tonight. Not having much luck.
This is really the last roll of the dice for the boys. We've only got a couple of minutes to go, so unless you're getting out on track in the next 30 seconds, you're probably not going to get a lap in. So Dylan Rudd, he's the one with all the pressure on his shoulders at the moment.
Definitely needs to set better time.
Yeah, it'd be good if he just set a time, I think.
Yeah, be happy with that. back. See the race times now and their names. Go. See James Scott, 131.606. Ross with a 132.22. It definitely.
Dylan Rudd comes through right at the death there with a 132.014 to put himself into P3.
A great result there from Dylan. Pretty happy with that. That pushes Ross back one spot. Tim in fourth, Hobson in fifth, Broad in sixth. Bismarck's going to hang on to seventh. And Nixon, of course, eighth. He's still out on track, so we'll see if he can go faster.
Tom Freer did a great job there, John, as well. He improved by a considerable margin to put himself into P2.
Done very well. Self there. The time's ticked over 15 minutes now, so unless you are on a lap, not going to get another chance to set a time. Apologies again for today. It's atrocious tonight, and I'm quite probably not server overload at their end. To me once before.
Michael Taliancic without a time as well, which is interesting. Quite possibly happy to start from the back.
It's an in lane. Everyone's turning back in at the moment. Tally, yeah, on the lane. Dave Coleman from the lane. It will be very interesting to see how these boys can go. For a minute, as it comes to an end. Scott parks it up, tight and broad. Last man left on the circuit. Waiting for the Callan timing to tick over. And we'll bring you the grid. Let's have a look at our starting grid. Round 5 of season 11 of East Coast. Bring it up. We have on pole James Scott from Bob's Esports. Lining up alongside him is Tom Freer. And to next row is Dylan Rudd from Bob's Esports in third. We have Ross the Boss in fourth. Synergy Racing. Hobson, his teammate, sits in fifth alongside Drop Bear Motorsport, Tyson Broad. Seventh is Accelerate Sim Racing's Anthony Visma, lining up alongside Connor Drop Bear Motorsport. In ninth is Justin Wallace from BE Electrical Race on Oz, lining up alongside his teammate and first of our Super 2 drivers, Joe Marnie. In 11th, we have Matty Mascourt from Sim Racing, lining up alongside the privateer, Thomas Freeman. Over the page, we have Brady Baldwin in 13th from Synergy Sim Racing, lining up alongside Craig Schultz from 95 Sim Sports in 15th. And in 15th, Michael Taliancic didn't set a time. David Coleman didn't set a time in 16th. Matty McMillan is our safety car driver and race control. And our chief race control for this evening is Richard Barella. Small field, Mark, but we still have some quality drivers out there.
Yeah, it's a small field, and like you said, quality drivers, and it's a great track for the V8s. It's another one of these tracks that really suits these cars, like Road America. So, like I said, these boys have done plenty of racing here in the past, and everybody knows the track pretty well. So I'm expecting some good, tough racing here tonight.
Be some very, very tough racing going. Looking for what these boys can do. from that perspective. Up here at the small grid. Yep, getting ready to go very, very shortly. What these boys can do. This track, race control tell me that there will be potentially safety car at some stage. That eventuates. Guys all still got about to go. Very forward to seeing if James Scott can get it off the line quick. See what Jordan Ross can do. Of course, cars on the row of the grid are the inside for the first turn, the outside for the second turn. So quite tricky to get this right for some of these guys. At James Scott, the guys starting at the front, of course, starting uphill as the lights about to go on. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lights are off. We are racing. Tom Freer may have stalled, but it looks like he's got it going. As we're heading down into turn 1, it is going to be Scott. Rudd on the outside of Freer will become the inside. So the Lobs guys take control. Freer drops back to third. Ross in fourth. Tyson Broad's gained a spot, but Brenton Hobson's got it back. Come back a little bit here where they are side by side. Very tight racing as we've got Visma on the outside. He nicely tucks in. Broad hanging on to that sixth position very well. But James Scott has taken control of the race quite early here. Broad out wide in the background onto the race control. Not sure what's happened. Can't see it on my screen. But I'd say he's been pushed wide.
Yeah, there was a slight touch with him and Anthony Visma. Broad did cut Visma's nose off on the corner before, and Visma's now around.
Yeah, that was Nixon inside of Visma, so expect a call there. A little bit happening early on here. Definitely battle back here.
Big battle. The front five have skipped clear now, and Connor Nixon now leads the second bunch, which is very tightly packed and still swapping positions at the rear of field. So, yeah, these front five have really opened up a gap with all that biff and barge in the back end.
Definitely a bit going on early there.
Craig Schultz running deep and going off track at turn 1, which relegates him to the back of the field.
And Wallace on the brakes there, not sure what's going on, whether he's... Joe Marnie looked like he might be redressing, maybe not. Not sure why he was on the brakes. Not to be the case. Anthony Visma back in with Tyson Broad again. Tyson Broad behind him. These boys having a ding-dong battle early.
Yeah, I think they probably, on reflection, might have preferred to cool their heels a little bit. You certainly can't win it on lap 1, as they say, but you can certainly lose it. And yeah, they just made their nights hard up Broad up the inside this time. These boys are still going at it.
Of course, being very costly, this group, Nixon, Visma, Broad, already 3.5 seconds back from Hobson as well in 2 laps. So it shows on a track with a bit of a draft on it, you cannot afford early on in a race to get battling. Of course, that lead bunch from 1 to 5, all being able to use the draft and work themselves ahead.
Yeah, that gap is really, really opening up with each metre of track covered, and Connor Nixon is going to really have to work extremely hard to get back on terms with that front five. James Scott running away with, he's got about a 5-car length lead over Dylan Rudd at the moment, and I think Tom Freer in third, followed by Jordan Ross and Brenton Hobson.
Yeah, definitely running away with it already. Just going to keep a bit of a look here. We might drop back onto Hobson, who's sitting at this group here. See all the action running in front of him.
Michael Taliancic and Dave Coleman starting from either pit lane or rear of grid, both been able to make up 4 or 5 positions off the start, so they're going pretty well.
Very well. See Tally here tucked up behind Matty Mascord. And tucked nicely in behind, of course, Brady Baldwin, working his way through here. Coleman, he is on the back of Baldwin already. So Coleman, the big mover, Freo in 14th. He's lost 2 spots.
Finally that Visma-Broad battle has settled down. I did see Tyson try to get up the inside of Visma at the last corner in the previous lap and just went too deep and just lost all that momentum going up the hill on the front straight, which really allowed Visma to open up a bit of a gap on him. So yeah, a few areas where you just cannot afford to miss the apex and get on the gas back to 100%, and that final corner is one of them.
Visma now having a crack at Justin Wallace to move himself. This is the battle for 7th.
This is going to bring Tyson Broad back into it as these two battle away.
Great little group here. Lap 4 of 41, so still a long way to go.
Dave Coleman stuck behind Brady Baldwin at the moment, and that gap between Brady Baldwin and his teammate Michael Taliancic is starting to open up, and I'm sure Coleman and Thomas Freeman would really love to close that gap back down.
Visma's got himself past Wallace. So the next man up the road for him is Nixon. And just going back, Taliancic is tucked up behind Matty Mascord. He's in the back end of this battle pack that we've been watching.
Not sure if Coleman had a slowdown there, but he opened the door right up for Thomas Freeman to get past him. Maybe just thought maybe Thomas can have a go at Brady.
Thomas not that far behind him, so that attack will be coming very shortly. And of course these boys not that far behind Tally, only 1.5 seconds. Tally past Mascord. And Connor Nixon now 6 seconds behind Hobson, so definitely dropping off the back of the pack, this group. But still good racing.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of passing already. Some pretty aggressive stuff on that opening couple of laps, but yeah, the boys are all intact. There's no one that's got any severe damage at the moment, no meatball flags, so everybody's running well, and now it's just a case of getting into a good rhythm and trying to work out what strategy is going to give you the biggest gain.
And Visma getting the run on Nixon. Side by side. Visma to the inside for the next 2 corners. He gets the move done. It's into the wall. This is huge. Wallace manages to avoid it by going out wide. Visma back on track. A very interesting one there. We'll leave that one for race control. Sort that out. Let's go back up the front. Dylan Rudd now starting to come under a little bit of pressure from Thomas Freeman. They've dropped Jordan Ross off, and Brenton Hobson still back there as well. On to Jordan Ross. James Scott now cleared 2 seconds ahead of this pack. Keep an eye on Freya. He's going to try and hang on to that. He's going to jump back into that close pack again. Looking to make a move on Mascord. And Brady Baldwin a bit further back, trying to make a move. Sorry, Justin Wallace making a move on Baldwin, or Baldwin on Wallace. Come down to the centre S. Wallace goes through. Freeman tucked up behind. And Dylan Rudd now also has Tom Freya right in the attacking zone. Up the inside. That's Freya through for second place. Rudd comes back and gets himself back into second. So swapping positions here. This has brought Ross and Hobson into the battle. And the 3 Synergy cars picking on the Lobs Esports entry. Of course, this has allowed Scott to get away a bit more.
Yeah, some pretty good racing there from them two boys, swapping positions without swapping paint, and yeah, it just goes to show you that when you think you've gained an advantage, it can quickly turn into a disadvantage in the next corner. Freya up the inside again into turn 1. Can he get it pulled up? No, he goes deep.
Oh, that's going to open the door now to allow Ross in. What can Ross do here? He's been sitting back watching for a little bit. All of a sudden now it's his turn to step up.
Picking up that draft. Sorry, John, picking up that draft and an extra couple of kilometres an hour. Just probably missed his braking point by about a metre and just ran too deep. So we end up losing 2 spots.
And just going to quick look at a replay at the back at the centre S. Baldwin, he went deep under brakes not Baldwin, sorry, with Tyson Broad. He went deep under brakes in there as well. Manages to keep it out of too much trouble. Rudd still under a lot of pressure now from Jordan Ross.
And the big loser from all this argy-bargy has been Anthony Visma. And the big winner is Michael Taliancic, all the way up into 6th spot now.
Doing very well with Tally. He would work his way up into the pack. And jump back in Tyson Broad. Looks like he's trying to get the move done on Mascord still. He's been sitting there for a lap or two.
We're currently Craig Shelton 16th, and then we've got Joe Mahoney, Anthony Visma, Dave Coleman, Thomas Freeman, Tyson Broad, Matty Mascord and Brady Baldwin. And that's a pretty tightly bunched pack, and then just a couple of car lengths ahead of them is Justin Wallace and Connor Nixon. So pretty angry pack back here, and they've been trading blows since lap 1. So it's certainly not over and done with for this pack.
Wallace having a look up the inside, goes a little bit deep. Can he hang on to it? And Nixon comes back up the inside again. Going to go too wide. But Wallace is going to get the job done here. Too wide, this is great driving.
Connor Nixon finally gets the job done on Wallace.
That's still 3.5 seconds up the road to Taliancic. Battling has been costly.
Yeah, absolutely. And just getting that drive out of that last corner is so critical. You saw Justin Wallace just get a little squirrel on the rear tyres there, and that just allowed Connor Nixon to open up 2 or 3 car lengths by the end of the straight, which Justin can close down in the braking area. But yeah, as soon as you don't get a clean exit off that last corner, it just kills you going up the hill.
And Joe Marnie in the pits on lap 10. Not sure if there's any damage, but on his way out, I believe. But yeah, very early stop. Getting out of traffic, and Baldwin involved in an incident now. So it's going to have a look what's happened to Brady. Go off track as well. Centre S, he's been spun to the inside. He's clipped the wall, lost the front bumper. Trying to make us mind where it's going to stay off. That's a glitch in the matrix there if there isn't one. And it goes back on. Hey, getting away with that one is Brady Baldwin.
While we were watching all that back in the mid-pack there, I see Tom Freer's got back past Jordan Ross.
Yep. Getting back up the road. They've dropped off the back of Rudd though, so Rudd's got a bit of air, so we'll keep an eye if that gap closes down. And Hobson tucked up behind Jordan Ross. Of course, the battle for the minor spots on the podium. Team Scott 5.5 seconds up the road already, or 5 seconds up the road. Dave Coleman up 4 spots at the moment. He's in 12th. He's still tucked up behind Freeman. And Anthony Visma been in the wars. He's tucked up behind Coleman. So he'll be looking to make his way up the grid a bit further. As that was Broad going wide. So Broad off the circuit there. Craig Schultz into the lane, Brady Baldwin in the lane as well. Of course, he would have had damage from that earlier incident. Nixon hasn't pulled away from Wallace like we probably thought he would have. These boys definitely still battling very hard. Nixon into the lane. It's Visma getting past. A lot of smoke there in front. Nixon, hopefully he hasn't got himself a black flag for speeding in the lane. Very tough pit entry here at Interlagos. Of course, you're coming in at 230, 240 kilometres an hour.
Yeah, well spotted, John. He has got a black flag on that pit lane entry.
A lot of tyre smoke there. As Dave Coleman had an off but came back on. So that will be costly for Connor Nixon, an extra 40 seconds in the lane. Very, very painful indeed. High racing with their pit lane penalties. Very vicious. For Brenton Hobson, one of the masters of strategy. Did he go the undercut on Jordan Ross? No, you'd probably think about coming in the next lap or two.
Yeah, that was super costly for Connor Nixon, that black flag. He ended up in the lane for about a minute and 10 seconds, just about, so way longer than what he would have wanted.
Let's get pit time up. 53 seconds stationary versus 10 to 16 seconds by the cars around him. So that would be very costly. We're on a short race. Don't need to put a lot of fuel in here tonight.
Visma with a big off. Sorry, John. Visma with a big off at the last corner. Just got on the gas and looped it around. So his night goes from bad to worse. He'll be really frustrated, I'm sure, in his rig there.
Yeah. Need anything? Plenty of grass coming out on new tyres, of course. It's a very tough corner to get right, though. Coming up through the Junco corner. Final corner to coming up the hill there. It's on turn 12. Into it now with Hobson. I can get very easily unbalanced between, apex and the outer apex curbing. Saying I haven't done that myself more than one occasion.
Yeah, I don't think if you haven't done that before, you're not trying hard enough, I think, John. Interesting, Tom Freya's really started to close that gap down to Dylan right in front.
Yep.
Yeah, James Scott's off on holidays out in the lead.
Big squeal there, a bit of bump drafting as well from Hobson, but a big squeal there in the centre S from Jordan Ross there. His front's definitely looking very second hand at the moment. The understeer that he had, very well to catch it. That gap definitely closing up. Justin Wallace into the lane now. Tom Freya put up the Matty Mascord. So Freya, of course, up 4 spots. Coleman behind him up 7. Michael Taliancic, the big winner of the night so far, sitting in 6th. He's up 9 spots.
Yeah, Tally showed all his experience coming from the back of the field there and just letting everybody else play dodging cars, and he just picked them off one by one.
Definitely working their way through. Field starting to spread a little bit with pit stops rolling through. Of course, 2 compulsory stops this evening. So definitely will be interesting to see when these guys come in for their second stop. It's when we then start getting to a level playing field. As Mascord goes down the lane, starting to see a few of these boys roll in. Ross still under pressure from Hobson. Battle, Mascord back out on track. And coming out side by side with Marnie. He's going to pull out in front of him here though. Plays back the fresh tyres. Of course, not everyone has made their first stops. Marnie down have all stopped. Everyone in front of Marnie, so Coleman to Scott still need to make their first pit stops. You can see this battle pack. They were all very close, fighting very hard for their round of stops, and they've all come back out together as Michael Taliancic peels off into pit lane. having a good look at Wallace here. Arnie, sorry. Up alongside. And down to the corner. It's the job done, Mascot. Arnie, nice bit of passing. Driving to get past. Now, Arnie under pressure from Broad behind. Hang on, Broad's going to have a bit of a look up the outside. Wallace going the outside. Oh, pushed very hard, these boys. Great little battle. Broad goes all the way to the inside. Can he hang on to it? Looks like he has. A little bit of a touch. Opens the door for Wallace on Marnie. Backs out of it. Gets his teammate. Last man you want to contact with.
Been some pretty aggressive racing here tonight, John.
Not wrong.
The boys are really, it's a small field, but the boys are really... Oh, Justin Wallace and Marnie almost come together, but Wallace gets a great drive off the final corner. Yep, and he's going to have to try and pick up that toe from Broad in front and close that gap down, because that gap has opened right up in a very short space of time.
While they were battling, Tom Freer, Hobson came in the lane. Talianchich has come back out. Freer, Coleman are in the lane, so the only drivers now not to stop is Ross, Rudd and Scott.
Joe Marnie with a big tap on the back of Justin Wallace and pushed him off the track at turn 1, which is something you do not want with your teammate. So I'm sure Joe will be feeling a little bit embarrassed by that one, but it does happen when you're racing hard, and again it's just that extra few kilometres an hour in the draft, and you try and pick up this brake marker, and all of a sudden you find you're carrying a little bit too much speed to pull the car up.
I didn't show up in my list. Anyway, they are definitely going hard at it as Rudd and Ross are in the lane. Thomas Freeman under a bit of pressure from the one and only David Coleman still. But David driving very well, hanging on the Tom this evening. Brought off the track again as well. Let's have a quick look at the replay of that. Going in, catches the curb that little bit, manages to pull it up. Driving on a knife edge.
Rudd and Ross back out on track, both stopped around the 25-second mark. Tom Freer was at 26.5 seconds. Brenton Hobson was 31 seconds. So Brenton opting for that long fuel stop first time round, shorten up his second stationary time. Be interesting to see if that comes back to him at the end of the race.
Yeah, it will be. Of course, interesting one to remember as well is Joe Marnie stopped on lap 9, so he stopped fairly early compared to the guys around him. And Coleman, Freeman off the circuit there, Mark.
Yeah, the boys, sorry John, but yeah, the boys seen a lot of cars end up off track here, so it is a tricky little track. It doesn't look like it's too tricky, but yeah, like we say, a lot of high speed corners, a few slower corners, and that car balance is critical around here. The V8's really don't like that roll side to side, and yeah, it's very easy to get the car unbalanced and pick up the throttle too early, and all of a sudden you just lose the rear end.
And James Scott comes out of his pit stop, and that leaves him still 5.5 seconds up the road. There's Thomas Freeman now looking to come back at Dave Coleman. Down into the centre S. Hang on to the back of the car here so you can get the toe down to the lake. Other stable is Coleman.
So once again, Dave is up 9 spots, as is Michael Taliancic in P6, Dave in P7, both up 9 spots. So that's pretty good gains for them boys.
Very well, those two lads. Squealy from Coleman just opened the door up for Freeman. Can he get the drive? Perhaps starting to close now. Has he got time? And the 2/10. Quite enough. Really got to get that last corner right to maximise the power. Time. Down. Coleman defends.
Yeah, I saw him go a couple of taps of the brake there to signal to Thomas Freeman that he was happy for him to come through. So Dave probably feeling Thomas has got better pace and he's better off tucking him behind Tom and trying to get Tom to drag him up towards Brady Baldwin, who is actually in P15, but he's the next car up the road. In front of Brady is Michael Taliancic, who's in P6, and that is the car they're aiming to get towards, but that's a pretty big gap.
Battle still going on between Wallace and Broad. Two definitely been in the action as James Scott sets the fastest time of the night with a 1:32.285. Absolute cracking pace.
Yeah, we saw Justin come off the track at turn 1 after getting nudged by his teammate, and that gap to Tyson really opened up significantly. But Justin has been able to close that down in a couple of laps, so clearly Justin's got some good pace in the car, and he's looking to go the outside at the moment. Will Tyson be able to hang on the inside here?
Side turns to the outside. Tyson goes to the outside for the next one. Great racing, side by side.
Tyson got great drive out of that corner, but Wallace defends down the centre of the track. Good smart driving there from Justin Wallace. He just planted the car in the middle of the track and really closed off the options for Tyson to make the move. Tyson's super aggressive tonight. We don't normally see him really this aggressive, but I guess it's just one of them tracks with the big drafting areas that just allows for that close racing and that deep dive into them high speed straights coming into them slower corners. Justin with a little bit of a squirrel there, but manages to hang on, but this certainly isn't over between these two.
Definitely the run down the straight. Oh, a bit of a twitch there from Broad. That might allow that gap to open up just that smidge again. And another twitch. Wallace definitely getting the power down.
As soon as you put a little bit of temperature in them tyres, John, they absolutely hate it, and it can take a couple of corners to really recover it, and you need to make sure you don't put more heat into them, because once they overheat, they are absolutely like a bar of soap to drive on. Joe Mahoney down the inside this time.
Hey, these lads. Good move from Mahoney.
Yeah, Justin Wallace just in front. Look in his mirror thinking, keep battling, boys, keep battling.
Best chance he's had to take a breath all night for old Justin. He's just going to go a little bit further back up. Jordan Ross, he's managed to get a second away from Freya now, about 3.6 back from Rudd. So battle here for third. Hobson's dropped back off a bit more. Hobson is down the road 5 seconds, so definitely lost a little bit of the pace that he had earlier. And of course, Taliancic up 9 spots, our hardest charger, sitting in 6th. Thomas Freeman in 7th, up 5 spots. 8th, up 8 spots is Dave Coleman. Great drive from Dave. Paddy Mascot hanging on to that top 10, up 2 spots. Justin Wallace got a bit of clear air now. It's starting to show his heels. Mahoney and Broad, they are still battling, and this is the battle, of course, for 11 and 12. Isma a further 8 seconds back. Dixon is 27 seconds back from this battle.
Yeah, interesting looking at the stationary times in the lane. Brenton Hobson, he was 31.5 seconds in the lane, but only stationary for 10.7. And Tom Freya was stationary for 10.6, but was only 26.6 in the lane. So I'm not sure if Brenton missed his pit box and had to reverse back or what, but that's like a 5 second difference in the lane, but same stationary time basically.
That was Broad out the back there. He definitely lost a bit of control as well, so he's dropped off that pack now, so that gap's definitely opened up. But gap closing a little bit between Ross and Freya now, where our closest battle is on track. Freya dropped off a little bit there, Mark.
Yeah, not
Second
sure
half,
what's going on. Yeah, not sure what's happening with Tom. He's possibly made a couple of mistakes on the previous lap, but yeah, certainly doesn't have the pace he had earlier on in the night. Yeah, he's fallen quite a bit behind Jordan Ross. He has got a decent gap over Brenton Hobson, but I'm sure Tom would have hoped, starting from P2, that he would certainly be able to hold position, or at least be on the podium. But we've still got quite a few laps to go. We've still got 17 laps to go, so still plenty of racing to happen. And as we've seen on this track, it's very easy to make a mistake and end up off track and lose quite a bit of momentum and lose quite a few positions.
Doesn't take much. As jump on board James Scott, we might ride on for a lap. How he's travelling. Back, enjoy. And of course, James makes it look very, very easy. But as you can see this evening, he's actually working a little bit harder than what we normally see, Mark.
Yeah, even James is fighting the car a little bit, but that's the nature of this track. Such high-speed entries into the corners, and you really need to be getting back onto 100% throttle as soon as possible with these big, long, open straights. So, but in saying that, James certainly looked pretty comfortable in the car. He's not really having to do too much work to open up on the field. So I'm sure he'll probably say, if we end up this way tonight, that it was a struggle in the car, but I think, when you're opening up the gaps he opens up as quickly as he does, it can't be too much of a struggle.
Just saw Anthony Visma in the lane, and Tom Freer has been in the lane as well, Mark, but he's been there for 27 seconds. He's back on track. So that is the first of our leading group to pit, running the split strategy, coming in 7. So expect to see the last round of stops to start happening for most of the guys, and then we'll have a fair picture what the battle looks like to the run home.
Looks like Tom Freer has gone from the server, John.
Yeah, sure what's happened there. That is a blow. That moves Jordan Ross onto the podium.
Not seeing the checkered flag next to his name, but it is greyed out, so I'm not sure if he's dropped out or...
I'm not sure either, to be honest. So Taljancic now in 5th is up 10 positions. That is an awesome drive. And pretty happy with that, I think, Mike. Has Tyson Broad in the lane. They're definitely starting to see some of these stops occur.
Tully's he's had a great night, up into P5 from the rear of the grid. Didn't set a quali lap, but he certainly found some good race pace, and we know how much experience Tully's got, so I'm not surprised to see him move through the field, but going that many positions on this track is a job well done, that's for sure.
The Synergy lads would be happy with his performance.
And of course, Anthony Visma put in a great qualifying performance, and probably just on reflection was probably a little bit too aggressive in them opening few laps, and yeah, just kind of really damaged his own race, battling with Tyson Broad in a few different spots, and just pushing too hard when he didn't have to, and yeah, just probably really been his own worst enemy on track tonight. But I know Anthony won't take it to heart, and he'll have a laugh about it, still have a smile on his face, and he'll be a little bit frustrated, but he'll just put it behind him and move on to the next one.
Yep. Now we've got Mahoney in the lane as well from 12th. Starting to see a few of these guys roll their second stops out. I expect the lane to get busy shortly.
Tyson Broad.
Yep, he's done his second stop as well.
just looking at the lap times, John, between Dylan Rudd, Jordan Ross, Brenton Hobson, there's really only, a tenth of a second between all three of them on the last lap around. So very evenly paced, and it's going to be interesting to see where they all roll out come this second stop, and who's been able to save some fuel, who put some extra fuel in that first stop, and whether you can make any positions in the lane.
Definitely to be interesting to get at the times from their last stops. Ross put in a second less fuel than the guys around him. But that will be play out. Freeman put in second, so interesting to see how Freeman goes, whether he picks up a bit of ground. Ascoot, Wallace, of course, putting in a bit of fuel as well. So these boys might make up 2 or 3 seconds. But the field very well spread at the moment. See how it all pans out when these stops occur.
Yeah, so we're down to 12 laps to go. Not too many laps. I think we'll probably see everybody starting to make that final stop on this lap or the next one, leaving them with a 10-lap run home.
To go. Freeman now's got himself 2.5 seconds up the road from Dave Coleman. Isma and Nixon in the lane. Nixon at his last stop had a pit lane speeding violation which cost him an extra 40 seconds. Not this time. Basically put the car up on the jacks and dropped it. Took it either. So.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find, so his name's greyed out as well, so quite a few boys not finishing the race tonight, which is a bit disappointing. I think, they all need as many laps here as possible with a couple of big races coming up with Scops and Pro Series. I think the way we've seen a few of them struggle with grip tonight, probably would have been, it's a good night to really do your homework.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, Wallace in the lane at the moment. Up on jacks. So that makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars parked up. Very, very tough race tonight. A few of these lads. Who's going with 10 to go. And yeah, very, very, very interesting. So the least. Brady, another one of them. And Pete, yeah, Frio, we think may have had some equipment failure in the lane. And another one who stopped on lap 25. There's Jordan Ross in the pits now. Trying Hobson to get past. Tally gets lane as well, so starting to see these guys tick over their final stops. Tally gets it up just in time. And Freeman in the lane as well. Here comes Coleman as well. That'll just leave Hobson, Rudd and Scott make their final stops. Hobbo at the moment running up the hill. few of the lads back out. Ross, the leader of our second stop drivers. Ančić, is in the lane. Ančić is another on the dropout mark.
Yeah, that's a shame. Michael was doing a great job out there tonight. I don't know, did he get back out on track or did he pull the pin from pit lane? I know he's in New Zealand, so it'd be pretty late over there at the moment.
The race of attrition.
Rubb comes out, back out on track.
Thompson and Scott, last two to pit. Scott comes in this time. Not many laps to go.
Down to 8 laps to go. James probably break the fastest lap once he gets some fresh time. Oh no, I thought he was coming in then, but he goes again.
That may as well. Just keeping an eye on a few of the gaps. Justin Wallace, only 2.5 seconds behind Mascot. He's slowly catching him up. So we'll see if he can push in. Gap opens up a little bit. Thomas Freeman, who's up 7 spots in 5th.
Got a competition safety car by the look of it, John.
Yeah, looks like the safety car is out. Picking up some of the debris left by the cars that haven't... Oh, that's the wrong button. Yellow one, John. Has been moved to there.
Now this will see James Scott dive into the lane, no doubt.
Yeah, so he's got plenty of time to do so.
Brenton Hobson will be the next car to dive into the lane, and that is the last of the stoppers, I think.
And Mahoney's doing in the lane as well.
Yeah, Joe, may as well get fresh tyres.
Boots won't hurt this time of night. An eye on Scott. Car up on the jacks. It's 10 seconds worth of fuel in. Gets it going. He'll be safely out in front of Hobson. Rudd comes across. Pick up Hobson. What about Jordan Ross? Jordan Ross will scoot through there as well. Freeman is the next one. Freeman coming up the hill. Will Hobson get out in time?
Well, Hobson had to get on the jacks a second time. It dropped and then he jumped back on the jacks, so clearly didn't put enough fuel in.
He basically stopped for 13 seconds, so he should have got enough fuel in. Freeman's come in for a bit of a touch-up as well. They had Coleman to roll through. Coleman stays out. Try saying Brady Baldwin crashed. End of the lane for a while. Must have blown his engine take because he was been sitting there with the clock ticking. And Wallace still on the jacks. I thought he would have had enough fuel. Been an 8-10 second stop. New set of tyres. It's off. Scott's picked up the complete scaffolding sales hire and labour safety car. Very late safety car in proceedings. Couple of waiver rounds, that'll be
Joe Mahoney
Mahoney,
just get
yep.
waved through.
And Elianchis would have been the next one, but all the cars are all stopped. Expect this race to go green next time by. And everyone back up.
Yes, I think it was only Mahoney that really needed to get that wave by, so he should be able to pick up the back of the pack pretty quickly.
Now coming into the lane. Get some new boots maybe. Oh, it's doing. West from Dave. Oh no, he's just touched his fuel up. Only stopped for 10 seconds. Oh no, stopped 10 seconds. That would have been tyres, sorry. Quick 10 seconds in my mind. And of course, the exit should be closed. Yeah, before the safety car.
He wasn't far off it.
I think the race control sort this one out. There's the blue cone. That's there.
Did he say that it was closed?
And I think he's just pulled off, realising. Pick up the back of the train. Smart play by Dave. Sort it out. Don't keep going. Penalty only gets worse. So just to summarise, we have James Scott, who just stopped under the flag. He stopped, of course, that was lap 34. Dylan Rudd was 2 laps before. Ross was 3 laps before. Hobson stopped on lap 34 as well. Matty Maskeds stopped on lap 31. Thomas Freeman went back in for a second set of boots on 34, along with Wallace. Bisma has tyres that were on 29, so they're 5 laps older. Coleman's got the same amount of tyres, 35, and Mahoney's tyres were lap 33. So the odd man out, sitting in the train really, would be Visma and Ross and Mascoud. So, but 4 laps, not a huge tyre dig, but just keep an eye on this still anyway. 6 laps, 7 laps, you're probably getting to that tyre dig. Might make the difference. As the safety car pulls away.
So we've got a 5-lap dash to the finish, which should be pretty exciting, I hope. Hopefully it's not too crazy, but yeah, James Scott's got fresh rubber, as has Brenton Hobson in the front pack there, so they should be good for grip. The other drivers around them have got a little bit older tyres, but like John said, not massively old.
Man to watch will be the Viz, the older tyres, guys around him at the back there. See what James does here. Does he hold him a long time? James is away. We are green flag. And Freeman, sorry, the first one to have a look up the inside at the back there. Does a look on Hobson. Jumped on Mascord.
Yeah, I saw Mascord really didn't get a great jump, and Freeman was all under the rear wing of him right from the get-go, and then as soon as they crossed that control line, Thomas just pulled out and made that move up into turn 1. So good move there from Thomas. He'd be happy with his nice work so far. I think Mascord, and is it Wallace?
Wallace,
Wallace got inside Mascord as well, and then a little bit of rubbing there.
Coleman having a look on Visma. Not going to get the job done there. Going back up to the front. Scott's got himself half a second from Rudd, half a second to Ross, 2/10 to Hobson, Freeman, half a second back. Hobson under a little bit of pressure. They're putting a little bit of pressure on Ross.
Yeah, that's the battle I'm interested in. I think Brenton had pretty good pace in practice and qualifying, and just didn't quite have the race pace. But yeah, going to be an interesting battle between him and Jordan Ross for the next 4 laps.
Yeah, definitely no team orders at Synergy Sim Racing. Comes Hobson having a look. Gets it pulled up. What does Ross do? He come back at him. No, I think Hobson might have the legs.
Yeah, Brenton got pretty good drive coming onto this straight as well, so he's able to maintain position. Good move there from Brenton.
Yep, great driving. And starting to get a bit of clear air. Going to go back, have a look at Visma. Tucked up behind Mascot, and has Coleman tucked up behind him still.
I'm not sure if Dave was short on fuel, but he might be ruining the fact that he actually made that third stop there.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to think of the rationale, because skipped coming in, or they'd picked up the safety car.
Maybe he might have thought he could have got out before the safety car, before they closed pit lane, but it didn't work out. He had to go to the back of the queue basically.
Oh, that a little bit of a touch in the background there. Coleman and Visma. I think it might have been. A bit racy in front with Wallace Mascot as well. These boys starting to pressure on.
Hobson's been able to drive away from Jordan Ross by the look of it as well, and Thomas Freeman is now putting pressure on Jordan Ross, so Thomas has saved his best to last, and maybe them fresh tyres have made a difference, John, with them 4 or 5 lap old tyres Jordan had compared to the guys around him.
They're just making enough. As Rudd under a little bit of pressure still, with Hobson now only half a second behind. So starting to put a little bit of pressure forward there as well. About to start the penultimate lap. Time is ticking down here. James Scott definitely got the legs and gone again. Rudd under pressure from Hobson. Behind there is Jordan Ross under pressure from Thomas Freeman. Then we go a little bit further back. Justin Wallace, Paddy Mascot, Anthony Visma and Dave Coleman and Joe Marnie. Great little battle pack as well if we drop back here and have a bit of a look. So just keep an eye of things happening everywhere. As Freeman now starts to line up Ross right up behind. Do hear that gap getting very tight.
Yeah, definitely Rudd Hobson battle's not done, and neither is the Ross and Thomas Freeman battle.
As we head up straight away for the second last time at the start the final lap. Perhaps might be just enough still.
Yeah, Thomas Freeman didn't get a good exit. Well, his exit was okay, but just ran a little bit too deep into the final corner before the bottom of the hill there before the straight, and lost a little bit of ground.
Another battle behind, all still straightforward. Let's have a look here though, coming down the lakes. Like Rudd's going to hang on through this section of the circuit. Freeman still putting pressure on Ross, but Ross looks like he's got a bit of a teat back in his tyres again. Drive, Rudd and Hobson. This is going to come down to can Hobson get a good exit out of the final corner. Straight street drag for an overlap. Try and get his nose in front.
Definitely think Dylan's got enough in hand at the moment. Oh, Hobson a little bit sideways on the exit. Certainly seals the deal for Dylan Rudd.
And James Scott take the checkered flag from Dylan Rudd. Brenton Hobson, Jordan Ross will hang on from Thomas Freeman. Justin Wallace, and he comes through just in front of Matty Mascord, who is 1.11 of a second ahead of Anthony Vismart. Dave Coleman will be in 9th, and 10th will be rounded out by Joe Marnie. That was a tough night in the office for a few of these lads. I think they've all done fairly well. Had quite a few boys not make it to the end, so a bit of attrition in the race, but of course it's the one and only James Scott as our race winner. James will be chuffed with that one. Bit of driving to go at this track for these lads over the next month. Of course, Scops this weekend. Practice for these guys. It's also be interesting. Well, draft track, so hard to get that. But James Scott would be pretty happy with the results. And Dylan Rudd, his teammate, home in second. Hobson in third. Great result for Brenton. Jordan, probably a little bit disappointed. Going in for those new tyres, which might have made that difficult battle in the start with Hobson. Thomas Freeman, he'd be pretty happy with that. Up 7 spots to 5th. Great drive by him. And then we go into 6th, Justin Wallace. Matty Mascord in 7th. Matty, you'd be pretty happy with that. Like I said, he just come back seat after a bit of absence, so he's done really well there, so he'd be happy with that. Isma in 8th, caught up in those battles very early. Coleman up 7 spots in 9th, and Mahoney in. But the man on pole and the man who went on to take the race win, James Scott. Well done, James.
Thanks, mate.
Bit of a plug and play. Wait, get started?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, no, it was. You know, track's been around for a little while now, so I've done a little bit of racing here in the past. So yeah, no, not much practice before tonight, but yeah, no, the car was really good tonight. So yeah, just maybe a few minor tune-ups here and there, but probably mainly the driver. But yeah, no, car was good.
And Dylan, mate, P2 pushed a little bit there at the end by Hobbo.
Yeah. So I think Hobbo was on like 2-lap pressured tyres, so I could see he was coming at the end there, but yeah, I was able to hold on.
Plenty of action behind you boys, of course, early on at the start of the race. Back and watch with a few the split 2 boys. And, of course, the man who was in P3 beating his team boss. Don't know whether he listened to the team orders or not. Got Brenton Hobson in here. Well done, Brenton.
Hey, John. How are you?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm better now. I put J. Ross in the bin. That was good.
Interesting choice. Of course, he didn't come in for tyres like everybody else. I think J. Ross, so he, that's right. I think that was did it again. Screen. Everyone, I think there was yourself, somebody out there. I think on 29, they'd pitted. Dave Coleman did a sneaky there at the end, get new tyres. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that 2 laps or 3 laps would have made that big of a difference. That 6 to 7 laps would have been the cliff in terms of that sprint home. So, yeah, I'm definitely found a bit of pace there, Brenton.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Like, yeah, you're right. And the restart as well, so you got some time to cool your tires off. I don't think the tires were the big difference there. I just decided to let it go down into turn 1 and see if I could stop, and managed to. But yeah,
They say it's talent. You're saying it's talent.
Yeah, look, let's just put it down to talent. I did say to Jordan, I'm not going to be able to pass you down here, and then just proceeded to completely send it. So that was good. But we were just trying to learn a little bit, really. Just we were on vastly different setups across the guys tonight to learn some stuff and a bit about tyres and things like that. So I wasn't planning to take tyres, except that there was a safety car. So yeah, made the most of it, and just worked out all right in the end, I guess.
I saw you go up on the jacks twice on that last stop, Brenton. Was there an issue with the fuel, or?
There was an issue with the pilot, and I managed to press the button and make it go through twice. But the issue with the pilot was far worse at the first stop, when I slid a box and a half past my stop and then stalled the car. So it wasn't a perfect night in the lane, but again, it was about learning tonight, so that was good.
Tough.
Yeah, we did notice. Sorry, John. We did notice on the broadcast that your lane time was about 5-6 seconds longer than everyone else, but you put the same amount of fuel in, and we did guess that you may have missed your box. So, thank you for confirming that.
Yeah, certainly did, and it wasn't my finest pit stop of all time, but better to get it out of the way tonight, early in the week, and carry on later on, and hopefully not make that mistake again.
A tough lane to come into too, because your approach speed's 250 k's.
Yeah, well, I feel like the lane entry is not so bad because the pit lane speed is also quite high, but I think the pit lane speed being so high is also a problem trying to stop in the box. And I was sort of blinded. I was following Tom in, and I just didn't realise that my stall was where it was. So by the time I saw it and reacted, it was way too late. But there's no excuse for that sort of stuff. I've been doing it long enough. Shouldn't make those sort of mistakes.
Practice for scalps this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. And obviously we've got the Enduro this year for the Pro Invitational Series at this track as well. So get in early here and get some setup stuff sorted now. And hopefully when we come around for that later in the year, it's all trimmed up and we're ready to go.
Month away. It's just over a month away.
Yep.
Coming quite quickly. Anyway, on that note, you want to give a shout out to Brenton?
Shout out to the guys in the team. That was an interesting night. We had a bit of mixed results and tried some different things, and it worked better for some than others. But shout out to them for all coming and having a crack. Obviously the sponsors, Works Racing Components, Dr. Epoxy, Watercraft Performance Centre, Speedway Shop, and all the rest of them. Shout out to the league for putting on the race. A shame to see a small turnout tonight, but nonetheless, thanks to the league for putting it on for us, and of course you guys for a broadcast.
Worries. And that one, Brenton. And James, you want to give a shout out for the?
Yep. Obviously, shout out to Doing Okay, Ryko, Hybrid Racing Simulations, you guys for the broadcast, the series admin guys. Really good night. Ran really different setups and learnt a fair bit. So, see where we end up on the weekend.
Please, and I hope you well. I will be watching the Scops. There you all go to it. And of course, next week we have the Daytona Road Course. Officials Vets circuit for the round. That one is place. Usually it's either a sunset or a night race, so it's up for you guys. And on that note, speaking of next week, 100% certain, Mark, whether we'll be having a broadcast as a Tuesday. Back into sorted. So don't do the broadcast on Tuesday night. I'll try and do a replay at some stage. Still at least enjoy watching the race for those out there that have been watching. I'll try and make sure we let everybody know. So over the next 2 weeks, might see how we go. On that note, a huge thank you to you, Mark. Very much appreciate your hand. Huge thank you to everyone out there who's been watching this evening. Huge thank you to all the drivers, of course, for putting on a great show again. Huge thank you to the race control and admins team of the league. And on that note, also a huge thank you to our sponsors, Supercheap Auto, BCF, Rebel, Pool Guys, Barella Cabinets, Fleet Scaffolding, BCF. Well, and on that note, we'll see everybody again next week. Thanks for watching.
There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We weren't arguing.
They talk about their cars, sing about their cars. Some people even look like their car. Whether it's an old car, new old car, fast car, family car, electric car, race car, two-wheel car, no-wheel car, or a car you know's parked around here somewhere. People who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small, some people tinker some degree between those two variables.
Whose voice is that?
And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name.
It's Kevin.
Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super. Because super is our middle name. Well, technically it's our first.